Welcome back to my channel once again, where we usually talk about different things, but in this particular video I'll be talking about the so-called boring jobs that are actually gold mines in Africa. These are the jobs that we don't really pay attention to, but we depend them on our daily lives. We cannot survive without having this kind of service providers around us. If you want job security and future-proof income with real-life examples across Africa, watch this video till the end. They're supposed to be 10, but I just said I don't want this video to be very long, so I said let's make it 8. Starting off at number 8 is compliance and regulation. Companies across Africa are being hit on a day-to-day with new regulations, and you need people who are going to be keeping your company, your business, up to par with government regulations, international regulations, so that you can be able to comply. And you don't want a situation whereby your business is being shut down because you never complied. So areas like data laws, you need to be able to comply with global data law protection regulations. In areas like tax compliance and occupation safety and health administration regulations, if you have these skills, you will be the most valuable person. For example, in Kenya, tax regulations keep on changing and banks are looking for data clerks on a day-to-day time. Number 7 is cybersecurity and IT support. Everybody wants to be a coder, an app developer, a software engineer, but who is going to be able to stop the hackers from attacking those businesses? You need to have these skills in cybersecurity and IT support skills so that you can be able to prevent companies from being attacked. We are transforming in that, developing countries. We are growing, our economies are growing tremendously. You can see the economies in Africa, different countries in Africa like South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, and other developing countries. You see that they are getting a lot of foreign investments, and the best innovation is about going through the tech world. We have artificial intelligence taking a lot of spaces, so we have to get that skill so that we can be able to prevent the hackers and attackers. In Nigeria, we have NITDA, which I believe it's an IT and Data Protection Administration, which has given free cybersecurity training amongst young people so that you can be able to equip yourself with the skills. At number 6 is CNC operators and factory technicians. This is hugely large machines that are involved in industry, processing, manufacturing. Those, you don't need a PhD to run that kind of a machine. With a minimum of 6 months, you can be able to attain those skills to run a CNC machine. You can be able to work in those EPZ centers and be able to work in those areas and, manufacture, because every day we want to consume imported stuff. When are we, as the Africans in our continent, going to manufacture our own produces and then export it outside? And there is a huge demand of legit African, manufactured products. So if you have the skills to work in a factory, you can be able to have job security, because these are skills related, not school related, skills related. You have to get the skills so that you can be able to manage and run these kind of machines. Number 5 is health support workers. Everybody wants to be a doctor, a nurse, a pharmacist, a gynecologist, and all those other fields that end with IST in the medical field, right? But are we talking about the people who are giving the caregivers, the people who are supporting these kind of services that are there? For example, we have the lab technicians, we have the medical records officers, we have the community health workers who go out of these hospitals to the community to collect data on how many people have gotten certain treatment, how many people have gotten certain vaccinations, how many people, those kind of record people who are doing that. We need that. And that is, if you get that, you don't need a PhD to be a community health worker. You just need to be conversant, skilled, focused, and able to communicate to the community so that you know what exactly. And this is just trainings that take minimum 8 months, 6 months training in the health institutions, and then you can be able to go out there. And governments are supporting people. For example, in Kenya, we have all the 47 counties, we have the community health providers. Before, it was called community health workers, who usually go out there to do data collection, to mobilize people, to sensitize the community about certain outbreaks and inform people about, you cannot survive if you are not aware about the health situation in your community. So you need these community health workers. At number 4 is waste management and sanitation technicians. This is very important. as much as we are urbanizing our communities, you know that there is high levels of pollution. We are emitting a lot of waste matter into the, our community. So we need institutions, people who are skilled in managing these wastes, so that you don't turn your environment into a dumping site. You need people who are skilled in waste management. They can be able to recycle, reuse. They can be able to help people from getting these infections from waste-related emissions. And in Ghana alone, Zoomlion employs over 85,000 individuals in waste management, sanitation, and recycling plants across the country. This is bigger than most banks. So you're going to study accounting and you stay for the next 5-7 years just tamarking, looking for a job, while if you had a certain skill in waste management and you're in Ghana, you could have already gotten the job at Zoomlion. So, you get my point. At number 3 is bookkeeping and tax filing. As I said earlier, regulations are usually coming up every now and then, and you need to be able to be tax compliant, so that after the next, in the next few years, in the future, you don't get to be auctioned because you are never compliant in submitting your tax and filing your reports, and you have these challenges explaining your sources of income. You have these kind of challenges. In this country, for example, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, their tax systems are really not that bad today because there is improvement in terms of technology. They're making it easier for people to be able to do their tax filing reports, but still not majority of us have the knowledge of doing that. But if you have the skills, you can be able to open up a business in this sector. You can be able to be advising and consulting for startups, how to file their returns, how to be able to be at par with their tax records. This is just printing money legally if you have the skills. And number 2 is logistics and chain supply. You cannot have your food on your table without these people. You cannot have the clothes that you're wearing without these people. Moving goods from one point to another needs people who are like truck drivers, people who can drive trucks across the borders, multinational truck drivers. You can be able to do that. And with the COVID-19, everybody knew that you should stay at home, work from home. So how were you getting the basic supplies in your home? By ordering through companies like Jumia, Takealot, in Kilimall or Kilimall. These are companies, they're startups that looked into that area. It doesn't mean that it's only these 3 companies. It doesn't limit you from starting up your own idea in this area of logistics and chain supply. In Nigeria, Kobo 360 and Lorry System are making the supply of goods attractive again, but there is a shortage of truck drivers. So if you have the skills and you are already licensed, you are a good driver, you are not that, you have that kind of discipline, then you have that qualification and you can be able to sustain your livelihood with that skill. And at number 1 is electricians and plumbers. I personally know somebody who is earning at least 200,000 a month and is not formally employed. He's an electrician and he doesn't have a degree. He just got skills from the TVET institutions. These are people who work with contractors, people who are doing these large projects, and they're already certified. Of course, you have to be certified electrician. Everyone wants a good house with proper wiring, proper, plumbing system done. You cannot do this without having these individuals who have the skills. Again, it's not about the school, it's about the skill. If you go to school without the skill, then you're actually going to lose out in this economy. Listen, attractive doesn't mean sustainable. These jobs might look dirty. They're the blue-collar jobs. They're not the jobs that might seem very attractive to you to actually have. But you know what? With this kind of jobs, you're guaranteed that you'll have a food on your table for as long as you want, for as long as you wish, because it's about skills. And skills, they never deplete. In fact, the more you do these kind of things, the more you're expanding your knowledge, and you can be able to even earn more by transferring that knowledge to other people by training them, right? So it's about skills. Are you skilled enough or are you schooled enough? Again, I'm not trying to say that schools are not necessary here. I'm just saying that schools are not the best way to guarantee you a job at the end of the day. If you're looking for a job, you need to have proper skills that are needed, because you are giving You're transferring, you're exchanging your skills for the value. You're solving people's problem because you have that skill. You're just giving them a solution because you possess the skill, right? You're giving them value for their money, in that they don't have to go and start, for example, fixing cables, for example, carrying their wastes out there. You just have to carry it for them. You have gotten rid of the problem that they were having, because that is how it is. Just exchange your skill for the money. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, share with as many people as possible, and again, see you next time.